Thank you very much for inviting us to come and present to you today. We're certainly very excited to be here. This is a very exciting project, and we would love to be part of it. Our agenda for today: you sent us a letter that contained an outline of the interview, and we're going to follow that outline basically. So our presentation is going to focus. We're going to do a quick introduction of our team, about 5 minutes, and then we will allocate the remaining 25 minutes to answer the questions that you ask and do our project approach. Then we'll have the question period and discussion as you. Sorry. So I know we have worked in several projects with Maricopa, but I wanted to give you a little overview of who the DLR Group is. We are a national firm. We are number 2 in the nation in education, but more important to take out of this slide is we've been 40 years here in the Arizona market. 80% of our clients are repeat clients, and we are 100% employee owned, and that's important, I believe, as a differentiator for us, because when you work with us, you're working with people who are invested in your project. Here's who our clients are in Arizona. As you recognize, we work with the majority of the educational institutions in the state, colleges and universities. All of these clients that you see here are repeat clients. We've done multiple projects on each campus. And we have put some corporate clients in here because one of the components of this project, one of the big components of this project is the offices. And our team has a lot of experience in the corporate world, in the corporate office world. And I think we believe there are a lot commonalities that we can bring, what we learn in those market sectors, we can bring to you as an innovation. This is your team. I'm Jaime Garrido. I'm going to serve as a project manager for the job. My role in the project is to bring the team together and focus on keeping us on task and making sure we have a successful process. I know that you can have a great project, but if the process is not successful, the project is not successful. So we want to make sure our process also is successful.
And I'm Matt Bremer, an architect and project designer. One of the great values that I bring to this team is I worked on all of the West MEC campuses. I worked in Canyon View High School. So I have extensive experience designing, especially on campuses, but more specifically vocation labs, STEM labs, those types of spaces. And ever since I was born, architecture has always been a passion of mine, and especially design. So I'm here to help and to listen to everybody and make sure that your vision for this building ultimately gets built.
Hi, Stan Axdom. I'm the project architect. My experience is with multiple community colleges here in the state, and most specifically I've worked with the Skill Center up in Northland Pioneer College, which has a welding program, a carpentry program, and several other kinds of programs that relate to your project here. Also have worked with a couple projects at Phoenix College. Most notably there, we did a maintenance building that, again, had a lot of the trades that carpentry and plumbing and electrical that all relate to your project here. And I really can't wait to get started on this. I've seen some ideas that our team has come up with, and I want to see that integrated with your team and your ideas and bring that to something that the students will really enjoy and be proud of on their campus.
I'm Brian Hummel. I'm a mechanical engineer. I'll be leading the mechanical team on the project. I've been with DLR Group for 28 years, so I'm very invested in the company. But what I bring to the table is most of my experience with the company has been with doing higher ed and educational work. So what I bring is I've got a lot of experience working with Stan on many of the universities and community colleges here with the exact issues you have on this job, with expansions of central plants, planning for the future, all that is right in my wheelhouse, and I look forward to working on a project like this with your college.
So that's who's in the room today with you, but our team is supported by a lot of other members that are also important to the project, and we can support the project from from an integrated perspective to whatever level is desired. We can include in IT and security as part of our design team to deliver a fully comprehensive project. So I want a couple of exciting. No, that slide. Next. Sorry. Yeah. So here's a little outline of what I think are key characteristics of our team. The team in front of you is not only an A team, it's an A+ team. It's a team that has many years. I've been in the business for over 30 years, so has Stan. Matt has a tremendous amount of experience, and so is Brian. But another thing is that we've been in different roles, and that's what I want to point about, that we have diversity of background and experience. I have served as an owner, as a vice president level for community colleges. 14 years of my career had been in the owner side as an administrator at community colleges. And I served in many of the Maricopa colleges, Phoenix College and Chandler Gilbert, and in the East Coast as well. We have never mind, go.
You want this slide?
Yeah, keep going. So we want to address the first part of your question was what is our project approach? So Matt is going to lead a presentation later on regarding the specifics of the project. Very exciting presentation he has developed with the team, Matt and Stan and Brian. We've developed some concepts for the site, but I want to talk about our project management approach at a 30,000 foot level. This is a sensitive project where you're concerned with making sure that we're not only delivering a quality project but also on time and on budget. There are some sensitivities there, so we have an approach that is forward-prone to make sure that we meet that goal. Now, number one is the management. Collaborating as any project, it's important that we work closely with Estrella Mountain, but also with our CMAR. So we understand that, we're prepared to do that. We have looked in depth at the schedule, and Stan is going to talk about that in detail and how we can develop a schedule to make sure the project is successful. And I know this from experience being on your side, that one of the key to make a process, a successful process, is having appropriate communication, making sure everybody feels integrated. So one of the things that I would do for the project is develop a communication plan that is developed in conjunction with you, and that we carry that out through the entire project. And lastly but not least is the resources are limited for every project, so that we understand that this project has some budget sensitivity as well as time sensitivity. So we want to make sure that we have a good balance that has scope and quality also taken into the pictures. So we want to develop a comprehensive picture, and I'll do better next time. So the second pillar of our project approach is making sure that we understand the site appropriately, and we are addressing the issues of infrastructure on the site and your parking lot location. And Matt is going to, with the team, will talk in detail about that in the project. The third pillar is our technology, or what we call building information modeling. Is how we work now. Our technology, we use this 3D technology to document the project, the drawings. But what does that mean, and what's the advantage that brings to the table? Well, a few things. One, is energy modeling. Because we work in Revit from day one on the project, we can model that building and study the energy consumption or behavior of the project, and use that as a decision-making tool throughout the process. We're an integrated firm. We have engineering in-house. We have all these tools in-house. So unlike other architects that may have, or other firms that may have to do a design and then look at the energy consumption of that design, we can use the model to inform our design process. We also use the 3D views to interact with you and to make sure that you can understand our design fully and make decisions, better decisions that way. And we'll leave it at that because it's getting too long. Those are the two things that we need to do. And the fourth pillar is making sure we don't have any delays in our construction process. How do we help our contractor, our CMAT risk do this? Is by giving them documents. We have a proven QA, QC process that works. We use it in all of our projects to make sure our drawings are quality. But it's all about people. It's all about collaboration. Every project, the strongest tool we have in our quiver is the collaboration, really. So we're going to work lockstep with our contractor to make sure they have the information that they need and the communication with us to create clarity on the GMP. And I think that's, we don't need to cover every single one.
So you ask, what do we want to accomplish in the first 120 days? So Randy, obviously we want to have a signed contract with you. That's kind of goes without saying. But some of the other things here that I want to point out, I think it's going to be important to know, do an assessment on the central plant and know whether we want to go forward with that. Brian, how would you go about doing that?
Well, I'll be the mechanical engineer, and I'm a very boots on the ground person. So the first thing I'll be doing is meeting with the facilities people, looking at the energy trending, trying to determine what the capacity of the existing plant is. You know, are we planning just for this building? Are we planning for the future? You know, see if there's been any studies done. You know, really fully understand the whole infrastructure of the campus, and then we can plan on what we're going to do now, what's going to happen in the future. So it's a really important part of this project.
And the other things that are going to be important to us is, you mentioned in that RFQ that there might be some additional scope to the project. We want to know what that is and understand that and be able to integrate that into the project as very soon as possible, definitely within 120 days. We'll inventory your existing equipment, do a catalog of that so we know what kind of utilities need to be brought to it. We'd ask you to give us the new products that you're going to have, or new equipment that you're going to have in these rooms, and have a catalog of what that is and what kind of utilities need to go with those. Most importantly, reconcile scope and budget. We'll work with our own cost estimator and also with the CMR to make sure that's happening. And that's we'll talk about that a little bit more in the schedule. And then finally, we want to get the schematic and design development completed and approved by you guys in that first 120 days. So to that end, we put this schedule together. The green mark is that 120 days. Down here is your school schedule. Here is where we have the end of DDs. And you'll see that is out beyond your semester end here. We realize that you have testing at the end of the semester, and some of that takes up a lot of your time. So what we really want to do is focus here at the beginning of the project. We'll be doing some charrettes with you to develop the design, to develop the concept, get your input on where we're going. Several meetings all along here, probably weekly meetings to begin with, and then hopefully the 2 weeks before the semester ends, we'll have all the input we need from you. We can finish up the design development drawings. When you come back, we'll be able to review them, or we could even put them up on the website for you to look at and have comment on. With the construction environment now, this project has a 10-11 month construction period, and we're finding that lack of labor sometimes pushes that out. So we're looking at maybe early procurement for some of the long lead items, maybe the chiller item, getting some of the piping in, getting some of the civil and infrastructure in, parking, some of the grading and drainage in. So that's what this does. We think that will help push the project forward, get you in on your scheduled time.
And we also understand that you have a desire to perhaps face the project and move into the faculty offices ahead of time. So doing the pre-work of the utilities and making sure that they are available to energize and run that portion of the project is critical. So we're looking at that as well. Excellent. No, I'm
You,
sorry. No,
is
no,
it me?
you're.
So, you asked us what will we do if we fall behind? Well, we will not fall behind. We'll hit your deadlines, your milestones as needed. But, and we do that because we have coordination and progress review meetings weekly on our projects. If we find that a project is falling behind for whatever reason, we have the staff that we can bring in to that project and help us pick it up and to meet your deadline. We'll let you know if there's any decisions that are outstanding that you need to make that is holding us up, and we'll give you a timeline of when those decisions need to be made. And if we're starting to fall behind on those kinds of decisions, we'll make sure that you have the information that you need and can make those decisions and get them to us on time. And then finally, identify the equipment for early procurement. We talked about that a little bit on the schedule side. So that would be the other thing, to make sure you're getting into your building on time.
So you also asked us, how can you help us meet our goals? So as a project manager for the project, that is my job, to be fully engaged with you and making sure that we're integrating you to our team in all this step of the way. But here are some things that you could do for us. One is to set clear, concise, and memorable goals. We believe you've done that with the ed specs that you created. We just need to make sure that we sit with you and do a validation of those. But one thing that campuses are very complex organizations where often the authority is dispersed in different groups. So we need from you to define who has authority, input authority in the project, who has decision authority in the project, and who has budget authority in the project. So we need to understand who to talk to regarding those different, or who are we taking our direction in those different areas. Having stakeholders and project stakeholder available for meetings and providing feedback that when we're interacting, I understand the process that we're interacting with a segment of your faculty or a segment of your group, but a lot of other people behind the scene needs to be involved also. So dispersing that information and making sure those folks are engaged in the process is something you can do for us to make sure we're successful, and making sure that when we give you submittals, design submittals, again, is reviewed with a larger group behind the scene and this group in a timely fashion. And we can't think of everything, so we want to engage you and tell us what else you can do for us. So any additional help is welcome. All are welcome. Now, we told you we're not going to fall behind, right? And this is, talk is, as a saying goes, talk is cheap. So here's our past performance in some of the projects that you may be familiar with. So these are district projects, with the exception of Westmac, which is a campus that I believe Stray Mountain is familiar with and collaborates with. So these are our performance on their projects, and as you can see, we have delivered all these projects of similar budgets in the same time frame that we're proposing to deliver your project, the design period, with minimal change orders, if no change orders at all. So I'm going to hand the baton to Matt. Matt is going to show some exciting project approaches that he, working with a team, leading our team, has developed. And keep in mind, these are just conceptual ideas. We have not interacted with you. We have not interacted even with our CM at risk. So you're gonna see some tools that we use. You're gonna see some ideas, and that's all it is. So don't think we went and designed the building without you.
All right, thank you, Jaime. So we've spent a great deal of time taking a look at your ed specs, specifically, getting down in the details of what spaces we're talking about here, what sort of adjacencies it's going to take to ultimately make a successful project to you guys. Within those spaces, we realize there's office spaces. This is an image here from the recently completed Canyon View High School. We realize, even though it's a high school, it does have a very modern workplace feel with flexible office furniture, and we very much want to provide